Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending this event until the end of the session, until the last session. I promise that the content will be interesting because our speakers here, not because of me. This session will discuss about how to utilize the technology that can encourage the creation of sustainable cities and shape urban spaces that align nature, work, and other economic activities and creation. The concept that utilizes this technology with a database approach can promote social inclusion, expand public participation, and carry out urban decarbonization efforts. Yes, we want to know how the community involvement will utilize digital platforms, how this involvement is also supported by the concept of the smart cities, and how the role of the government and the policies for efforts towards green decisions. Yes, we specifically choose the compositions of the speakers for this session. Yes, so the combination from the policymakers, the experts, and the centers in the area, the practitioners, and the urban development and climate change. They come from the central government, the special region of Jakarta Province, the regional developers, Sinarmas, land, and then the climate change experts. Let me introduce maybe from Mr. Ignes Kamalawarta, Advisor President of Sinarmas Land. He is also the chairperson of the Green Building Council Indonesia, GBCI, Head Strategic Study Agency of DPP Real Estate Indonesia, and previously he served as a Deputy Chairman of DPP RAY and the Director of PT Bumi Serpong Damai. Well, this person from Jakarta and surroundings, you must know what is BEC. He has intensive, very long experience in the field of urban development and real estate. Mr. Ignes has an educational background in architecture from ITB and MBA from Newport University, United States. Next, we are present with you. There is Mrs. Wardania from Jakarta Smart City. She is the Head Marketing and Communication Unit of GSC. Previously, she has served as the Head of the Regional Bureau of Jakarta Provincial Government, and previously in Human Resource Research, yes, Ministry of Communication and Informatics. Mrs. Wardania got her master's from MPKPUI. This is University of Indonesia. I'm working there, and he had a degree also from University of Brawijaya. And also present here with us, Mr. Mukti Soyahman, PhD, or known as Mbak Kuki. Mrs. Kuki Syahman is one of the founders of and the Executive Director of Indonesian Research Institute for Decarbonization, or IRED, an organization who is active in policy analysis and advocacy for decarbonization and climate resilience in Indonesia. Yes, she has a very long experience, more than 30 years in the field of climate modeling, policy analysis, and international negotiation related to climate change, because Mrs. Kuki previously served as Special Assistant to the Presidential Envoy for Climate Change throughout the period 2010 and to 2019. Previously, she was also the Executive Director of the Pelangi Foundation. Mrs. Kuki has an educational background in environmental engineering from ITB and environmental engineering and sustainable infrastructure from the Royal Institute of Technology, Stockholm. Thank you, Mrs. Kuki. And next to me is Mr. Johannes Wahyu Kusumi Susanto, or called Mr. Wahyu, from the Ministry of Housing and Residential Areas. Is that right, sir? The current name now? I'm sorry, excuse me, the Ministry of Public Works. He is the Director for Regional Development. Is it possible? Is it correct? Is it the Indonesian name for it correct? Okay, Directorate General Human Settlement, Ministry of Public Works. Previously, he served as Deputy Director in various directorates, namely Regional 1, Standardization and Institutional and Building State-Owned Houses. His educational background is a bachelor's degree in architecture from the Federal University and a master's degree in urban management from Erasmus University, Rotterdam. Before we start, let's give applause to our speakers today. May I invite perhaps one of the national policymaker, Mr. Wahyu, to speak? 7 minutes, sir, regarding insights from the central government sides. Okay. Thank you, moderator, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Thank you for being given this opportunity to speak at this seminar. I would like to ask permission from all of the panelists and moderator Indonesia. Let me deliver my presentation in Bahasa Indonesia. The first one, of course, if we talk about smart city and principal implementation in Indonesia, of course, the first thing is occasion we as a ministry, as the Ministry of Public Works, where one of our tasks is of course related to infrastructure issues and of course cities, and what is the connection in this, of course, with human settlement, or maybe more generally we can convey it as settlement where all of us humans live. Like, so the first one, I think, the next slide. Some principles, of course, we'll try to convey, but before we reach there, we try to convey some issues or maybe background that underlies why we do or take this policy. I think earlier also more or less has been mentioned in previous discussion and or maybe in the morning session. I would also, but I couldn't attend. But I'm sure this will definitely be the main part of us, Indonesia, taking a stance or a policy in the context of urban development in general. So the first is, as we know, of course, we project in Indonesia in 2035, almost 70% of the, we forecast that almost 70% of the city will be filled with residents or by the community, with people. Of course, we know exactly the increase in population in urban areas is certainly part of the opportunity to carry out development, but it is also a challenge in itself for the provision of infrastructure, of course. And the second one, I just mentioned what is called apart from the fact that the population growth is growing rapidly in urban areas, but the most important thing that was also mentioned earlier is that our, especially in Indonesia, is like the big cities, Jakarta, Surabaya, maybe Medan, Palembang, Makassar, almost all are in areas that are indeed very prone to disasters. Especially if you look at Jakarta, I don't think it's become, what's it called, maybe it's a topic that people are tired of talking about because it's indeed full of disasters. And these days I think the less of we pay attention to what is called news or press release from BMKG, the announcement from BMKG. I think from January to February we will experience or what is called facing very extreme weather. I think I think something that very what is called that we have to face, like that is what we have to face in Indonesia. And of course the third one that is related to that, what is it called, development or even development issues in Indonesia that are related to regulatory gaps. Like until today, I think we don't have a law on urban. It's still in the process, the legislation. But of course, this is a part of the challenge because urban issues, no matter what, we from the government side must base it on the provisions of laws and regulations, which of course will be an important part in the implementation. That's what I think. Then the next one, of course, as apart from the urban disasters in Indonesia, I think we know exactly whether it is related to environmental issues and traffic jams or not. I think if we take Jakarta, Surabaya earlier, I think Mr. Aji also mentioned what is called the problem of transportation or congestion, not only in Jakarta but also in Surabaya. Until today, the bus has not been completely solved, like that the various modes of transportation and the policies are in Jakarta or other also metropolitan cities are also being implemented, but it seems that it has not yet provided significant results in improving transportations in Indonesia. And then, of course, the last thing that we want to try to convey in this background is that related to the infrastructure balance. So we cannot fully understand. We can understand it very well, but not fully. Every regional government, the leaders of regional governments, in this case, of course, are able to prepare or provide what is the name of the infrastructure needs or requirements in their city. This imbalance, which also makes our, of course, part of compiling the policies and what is it called? Yes, the policy in the framework of urban development. Yes, of course, what is it called? In the future, we also have to pay attention to educate infrastructure support to create a green city, sustainable, tough, smart, and competitive. And then in this issue, of course, which is based on technology. So the next, ladies and gentlemen, our roadmap is what we have planned in the National Long-Term Development Plan. If you look at now, we are in the 2025. Of course, it should be like that. Yes, we should have completed the fulfillment of the basic infrastructure, right? What is the name? Drinking water, sanitation, and then also what's the name related to waste and so on like that. Yes, even if maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago we heard that there was a movement in our ministry, which we have also echoed throughout Indonesia. We know that there is a movement 100 like that. Is, it means that there is a fulfillment of 100. What is the name of the coverage of service of drinking water in the enter committee? Then the 0 is that there are no slums, right? And then the third 100 is the second 100 is related to the fulfillment of services of sanitation. Yes, but ladies and gentlemen, what's happening today? The drinking water is only around it hasn't reached 90% of Indonesia that has been served yet, and of course not all of it has pipes. Then if you look at sanitation, even lower, only maybe around 80%, 5% are covered by sanitation service, and also not all of them are pipe. Right? What is related to slum? Until today, at least this last 5 years, we have planned and programmed a target of 10,000 hectares of our slum areas, but we have only been able to reach 75% from that. I think this is also a problem that is not easy for us to solve. I think the challenges ahead, if we look at in this roadmap in 2025, should be that the focus can be resolved. It should be like that, but it turns out that we are still facing or still struggling with the conditions. That's it. Then in 2025, we will increase the quantity and quality of urban areas that are suitable for the union by fulfilling the main indicators of a suitable city for the union. So if we talk about being suitable for the union, of course the entire country, maybe the context is even broader according to what is earlier, what was conveyed by the moderator. I think, yes, how do we, the entire country, support the realizations of decent cities in the union? Well, if you look at what we know, we conveyed earlier in 2015-2025, the target has not been fully achieved. So this is a challenge to add what is called a target, which is actually not easy. Maybe I think this will be part of our discussion. Then if we look ahead, we jump to 2045. So that's how it is. It also is announced that Indonesia is golden. Indonesia, if we look at it nationally in a national context, but if we look at in terms of what is it called urban development roadmap, we hope that there will be something we call a smart city. So we are targeting 2045, so the city can certainly do or realize how smart Indonesia is. Then of course from 2045 onwards, of course, we hope that this will not only be smart but also competitive, tough, and sustainable. So I think we from the government side certainly cannot do it either, talking alone. So yes, of course, also mentioned earlier, I think in some previous discussion, I think yes, by Surabaya and some examples presented by previous panelists. So several cities also implement collaboration between actors. What's the name of the interests? So not only the central government, also regional government, society, but also business world. Even what we call pentaholics should also be a part that we put forward. Right. Next slide. We say that Indonesia also does not yet have a law on urban areas. So it is indeed not yet fully. We can do what is it called? Straightened the implementation. What is called urban development. It occurs intensively. Yes, but we already have several provisions. Actually, we have government regulation number 59 of the year 2023. So it is still relatively new. So what its name is realizing how is our commitment to the smart city initiative. So even though we said earlier that the target of 2025 has not been fully achieved, 2000. We are still aiming for 2035. So then, but at least we have tried to plan the relations. So what is the policy like to be able to go to the sea, smart city was like, so it becomes part of what the government, especially of course the city and district can do, the prefecture can do or realize this. There are several provisions of government regulations of number 59. The first, of course, is smart governance. To become a smart city, there are several items that we must plan to be able to get there. So, of course, to increase the efficiency and transparency in government operations, I think this is something that is not only in Indonesia but has become something that has gone global. That we must also realize this smart governance as a foundation to carry out or move towards smart city initiatives. And then, of course, there is a smart economy to encourage economic growth and innovation. Smart living improves the quality of life, focuses on services and resources that are easily accessible. And then, of course, there is a smart society. Yes, encourages community involvement and inclusiveness. Social, of course. Then also, the next one is in the regulation, the smart environment, so to protect and improve the quality of the urban environment. And the last one is smart mobility, yes, to improve the transportation system for efficient movement and it's sustainable. Ladies and gentlemen, several city initiatives have actually been carried out, and maybe they are also on their way to that. Yes, several city, perhaps with various kinds of what we call existing capabilities, have tried to start carry out this initiative, such as in Probolinggo, in East Java, Pasuruan, Surakarta, and also in Buleleng in the province of Bali. So yes, in Banyumas in Central Java, and several cities have started to initiate these activities. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, please allow us to convey that perhaps what is more comprehensive to look at, that is what is related to IKN, the new capital of the Nusantara. Yes, the capital of the Nusantara is certainly becoming a smart city implementation model with the concept of smart forest city, with the main indicator pillars, the KPI covering the first reflecting national identity, integration of Indonesian culture and design in urban planning. Then ensuring urban sustainability, emphasizing green space, environmental protection, and resource management. Sustainable power and is to create a smart metropolis, yes, focusing on efficient infrastructure, connectivity, and the use of technology for better city management. This is, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we can try to discuss if it is needed in relation to this IKN, but the most important thing we want to try to convey, the concept is the first, what is it called, the KPI is like that. The most important thing is how the capacity of the archipelago public welfare is an important part of improving the quality, the lives of IKN residents, including access to essential housing services, which is affordable and of good quality, and optimization of public facilities. So that in its KPI and its urban design development, we have tried to underline that is to plan that, yes, every citizen there can certainly enjoy their life better. For example, from residence to workplace to public facilities to with walking distance. Then we have to use the public transportation. It only takes 7 to 10 minutes. We can reach the destination like that. Then this is related to our topic session. These three things that we want to try to convey are the infrastructure that uses of course information and communication technology. So utilizing technology through the development of information and communication infrastructure, including high-speed internet and digital services. As we know, in what is the launching, if I may say, the launching ceremony of August 17, 2004 yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe there are some of you who have went there to attend the ceremony there. So we also use some of the autonomous buses. They're the same as technology and what is digital technology that can, of course, enjoyed by everyone who was in the IKN at the time while attending the ceremony. That's what I think we want to try to convey on this occasion, which maybe the next one is a little bit more, which is related to maybe, of course, its challenges. Please, let's call next slide. Just keep going. Keep going. I think this is the last file. Just keep going because this only gives an overview. So yeah, I want to try to convey the last one, which is related to what is the name? What's the name? The challenge earlier. So the first one is, if we see learning from IKN. So yes, the first Nusantara is related to infrastructure readiness. So yes, it turns out to provide basic infrastructure related to what technology and what is called communication. So it's not as easy as we describe it. So yes, but even though there is, we have prepared it in such a way, but it turns out that the fact is that we cannot reach all areas with the existing system. So then there also needs to be integration between sectors, because coincidentally, the first to build in again was the PUPR ministry in this case. But while we also know exactly what other ministers or sectors need to be involved, so that we need to integrate between energy, then also communication itself, transportation, and so on. So the other things that are challenges that I think we hope will be part of what we have to solve in to fulfill what is it called, or achieve the goals of City Smart in Indonesia. I think maybe this is my brief explanation. If needed, we can discuss later on. But we hope, of course, in the future we will be a part of. We must what is called achieve, you may say like that, and it becomes very strategic for the needs of infrastructure development and urban as a whole in Indonesia. That's all that we able to convey. Of course, more detailed and specific thing, if needed, we will convey them later on. Thank you, Mr. Wahyu. Thank you very much. Elaborating the framework of the smart cities, including various aspects such as smart economy, smart government, and so on. Also examples of what are being implemented by the government in the IKN, and along with the challenges. Next, I invited Mrs. Kuki to do your presentation. Mrs. Kuki. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much for still waiting here, attending here. I will just go straight to the slide, because what we are asked to do was actually about the role of a smart city to support the carbonization efforts. So maybe I can just go straight to the slide. If we're talking about the carbonization, of course, what we are talking about here is carbon or greenhouse gas emissions. Right? And if you look at cities, there are actually several, if you may say, the main sources of greenhouse gases. The first two of course, are related to energy. The first is on when generating or providing energy itself. For us, in Indonesia, we are still very depend on fossil energy, fossil fuels, and that is not only for electricity but also for several activities in cities that have industry. For example, for heating and also for cooking. Yes, we also use a lot of it. And the utilization, the utilization of energy itself in homes, in commercial areas, in industry, whether it's for lighting or lighting for cooking, and also for transportation, of course. And back again to what we have now, it is still a fossil. Well, the third one is that maybe sometimes we forget, because when we talk about greenhouse gases, usually the first thing that comes to our mind is that this is definitely dirty energy. But we often forget that there is one big challenge, I think, sir, for settlements in PU. The big challenge is how to manage the urban waste. How do we manage it? Because if the management is not right, he will also contribute a lot to greenhouse gas emissions. Maybe some things. Let's go to the next slide, which is what can be done by the cities that we know as smart cities to help decarbonization efforts. If we look at it back again, because the biggest issue is energy, of course, how can we transform transition and transform from dirty and fossil-based energy to cleaner energy, renewable energy or other cleaner energy. Yes, there is a transition, of course. But when we talk about transitional energy, especially from fossil-based to renewable energy, there is usually one big issue, namely the ability of renewable energy to replace fossil-based energy. There is the issue of intermittency, and there is also the issue of location. So what is more important is actually the steps, the first steps. The first thing that needs to be done is energy efficiency. So if we talk about energy, maybe which is the first step that can be taken by all parties is energy efficiency. Then the second one, we also know that it was conveyed earlier. One of the things that was conveyed earlier was from smart city. There is what is smart mobility. So transportation and mobility are important. How, for example, Jakarta, we see that even though it has gotten much better in providing public transportation, our dependence on private vehicle is still very high. And even though there are now many private vehicles that are electric based, there are also more and more vehicles, including two-wheeled vehicles, that are also still fossil based. If we talk about electric based vehicles, the challenge is, of course, how to develop the EV ecosystem itself. It's not just about making the cars and selling the cars, but also that these cars can run, they have to be charged. So how about the charging stations and so on? The third is that we are back to the issue of waste management. How can we implement collection system, waste collection system, a smart and innovative waste collection system? From what I know, maybe this is because in my neighborhood, it's still collected from houses, from sometimes they use carts, sometimes they use something else, then they put it in a temporary collection place, and after that we don't know where do that waste goes. Is it moved to a landfill that is better, like a sanitary landfill or something, or maybe is it burned or something? That is also something that, even though there are already a regulation, unfortunately around my house, my neighborhood, there are still many people burn their waste, their garbage, for example. And actually issue when we talk about waste, and I often heard is that we have to start thinking that the waste is not something that has to be thrown. It can be utilized. So what is used now is it's not 3R but 5R: refusing, reducing, reuse, repurpose, recycle. And what's currently going on is quite a bit trend, as this could help with the energy issue if the implementation is really correct, is waste to energy. How can we use the waste to become an energy? Well, there are still some of other efforts or roles. You can go to the next slide. Like behavioral changes is indeed a lot of homework. Our custom, if you are already feel comfortable, if I may take the example from earlier, it comes back to the issue of transportation and mobility. We are already comfortable with the private fossil-based vehicles. So we have to change. We don't need to change to public transportation. In quotation marks, it might feel like downgrading myself, but it's still there's those kind of feeling like that. But even if we switches to an electric-based vehicle, the comfort might be different. You can't just go for a drive. Later on, there will be a gas station. We have to really plan our our journey. So that when we leave the house, there is enough electricity, for example. So there really needs to be awareness. There needs to be a campaign. There needs to be education as well. And I think earlier the role of ICT here is very big. Yes, it can be from digital technologies, then collaboration of course and partnerships. And because earlier Pentahelix also said, entering, it's also written here, it's also included here, it's impossible for the government to work alone, it's impossible for the community to work alone. So we really have to work together. And maybe what's more important is to find innovative ways, yes, that don't become, if I may say in quotation marks, the emphasis is on one but the same boat lifting each other up. And the next one is, of course, the problem of the decision-making process. This is the role of the information that can be collected from the community. This process can help the government and the decision makers in this case to be able to make the right decision. I think I still have one more slide, if I'm not mistaken. So actually, this is just the message with the smart city. We should have, we cannot only reduce the carbon emissions, but also improve the quality of life of the community. And we will, when we talk about improving quality of life, I think we also cannot be separated from we say the climate resilient. If the community is not strengthened in terms of resilience to face the impacts of the climate change, we want to make the communication like what, and it feels like it will be in vain. Maybe I'll stop here. Thank you. No, thank you for bringing up the issue of circularity and some challenges and importance of maybe one of the key aspects for to change is one of the positive is transportation, right, man? Because transportation encompasses energy and efficiency, then there are pollution and many things, and it is also very related to what Mr. Mahri previously told us about the national framework, and then Mrs. Cookie gave her views from her perspective, and then we will ask Mrs. Wardania about its implementation in Jakarta. Please, Mrs. Wardania, go ahead.
Hello everyone, konnichiwa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon. Because I'm from Jakarta, I have to arrive first.
Beli ketumbar di Papua.
How are you? How are you, ladies and gentlemen? I hope all of you are healthy because it is getting late in the afternoon and the weather is also getting cold. I hope all the ladies and gentlemen present here are in good health and always under the protection of God. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a great honor for me, and on this special occasion, allow me to share about what we have done in Jakarta Smart City in terms of how we built the ecosystem, how we made the community. Because when we are talking about smart city, it's not only about technology, but about engagement, and also about participation.
Ladies and gentlemen, our respected guests, allow us, Jakarta Smart City, to share give a little background about what that we have done in Jakarta, because we all know that Jakarta is approaching its 5th century in 2027. This year, it will enter 498 years old, and is still the capital city of the Republic of Indonesia. Correct, Mr. Wahyu? There has been no presidency, but whatever Jakarta's status, we are focusing on developing Jakarta as a smart city on a global scale, meaning that it will become the center of the economy and business center in Indonesia. Next
slide.
If you talk about the smart city, the panelists have also conveyed several 7 dimensions of smart city, and we in Jakarta are, of course, a smart city, also implementing those dimensions, both smart governance, smart people, smart living, smart mobility, smart economy, the mud environment, and also smart branding. Well, if we talk about the smart governance, of course, what we have done among others is that we already have integrated digital public services, and then we also issued policies which is based on data utilization of master data management and also big data, including the existence of citizen complaint channels. So that also implements what is the dimension of a smart city, namely smart e-governance. Then smart people means so there must be citizen and the citizen involvement. There must be citizen involvement, there is citizen participation, that is the dimensions of smart city. Besides, there is also smart mobility where the transportation system is integrated. Then also, for example, there is an information service related to transportation. Well, if we talk about smart environment, we, especially in Jakarta, smart city, we have innovation namely related to flood control based on TIKA, which already uses a machine learning or artificial intelligence. Then related to smart economy, how then we develop startup or also create an ecosystem for the startup, including job creation, including also how there is payment integration under one roof. Another is smart living Jakarta. As a smart city on a global scale, it must be a safe city and a comfortable city. We provide, among others, public Wi-Fi points, and then also we provide various information portals, including health services, and less important is how we brand our smart branding through this city branding, which it's also not less important. Okay, previous slide. Yes. We have several programs, including we have the super apps, Jaki, Jakarta Kini, or Jakarta Now. Anyone can download this Jaki application. This is super apps which were indeed developed by us in Jakarta Smart City. So we are a management unit under the government, DKI Jakarta Province, and we also develop what we call citizen relationship management, a fast response from to the community. So the CRM system is then integrates all the channels that we have, namely 13 official channels for complaints. So what are those channels? We do provides an opportunity for the community, not only for Jakarta residents, but anyone, including foreigners, to participate. So if you want to submit a complaint, or you can do through those three channels that we have, as long as the complaint is related to the public services in our area, in the DKI Jakarta region area. These 13 channels are in the form of an electronic message hotline and also social media, including the JK application and also the National Complaint Service application, namely the report span from the Ministry of Pan-RB. Then we also continue to serve complaints directly to Mrs. Of course, as a form of inclusivity, so anyone can choose the complaint channel that is that they prefer. So we continue to receive complaints directly at the City Hall. There are complaint posts at the major's offices, including the region's offices in the Seribu Island, then at the inspectorate offices, including at the village head offices and sub-district offices. So indeed, this diversity certainly has a fairly broad social impact, where indeed, of course, the availability of an official complaint channels ensures that all segments of society, both those who are familiar with technology and those who are not, can then get the same access to complaints. Well, ladies and gentlemen, complaints that come in through this CRM system will, of course, be more comprehensive. Okay, next slide. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Jaki application which has been downloaded by the end of 2024. By the end of 2024, more than 5 million downloaders, and we integrate more than 50 public services. So ladies and gentlemen, you can check. We invite you if you want to download this Jaki application. There are many features that we have, including JAK report or JAK Lapor, and also ladies and gentlemen can also find out how emergency contact numbers, then groceries prices or prices commodities. Ladies and gentlemen who want to get free ambulance services can also directly go to the JAPIC application, including regarding the environmental conditions, because we can also monitor the condition of the air quality, including flood monitoring. So in this JAK application, all of JAK is hub where it integrates all public services, especially those owned by the DKI Jakarta provincial government's agency. So including tax payment, and also how is it related to public transportation and various services that are indeed integrated. Ladies and gentlemen, then also maybe you need a mental health consultation. There is already in Jaki which is connected to the health service. So everything is integrated in this application. Next. Ladies and gentlemen, Zaki is one of our official channels, which is indeed one in our system, namely Citizen Relationship Management, or CRM. How does this CRM actually work? This form of utilization of technology is what makes the complaint so effective and fast. So in just a few minutes, you send a complaint automatically by the system. It will be sent. If you use the application, it is geotagging. It will be received directly by our officers or admins who are in the sub-district office where you are currently reporting. For example, currently in the area of I think this is a Gular sub-district maybe, in Central Jakarta, and later it will automatically be received by the admin and the sub-district. From the sub-district, it will be disposed to the officers in the field, who will go to the field and then the location, and then will follow up and provide a report or a proof of the completion. That what is certain is that the time to submit, it will not be more than 6 hours. So automatically this report of the ladies and gentlemen, and finally there will be verification or validation from bureau name, the government bureau. Later will be determined is the report completed, or does it requires a further follow-up, or well, you can see here, if you use channel other channel than Jaki, the report will be entered, enter the system and will be received by the relevant agencies that have it has the duties related to reports from, for example, regarding the Jakarta Smart Card. It will later be received by the admin at the education office, who will follow up by sending officers to the field and resolving the problem. So the problems already have been categorized based on decree of the Regional Secretary number 99, year 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout the 2024, we at the DKI Jakarta Provincial throughout the CRM system, we have received 185,000 reports. Then the total number of cases that have been successfully handled is around 177,000, which means that this is almost 95,000 cases, almost 9.96%. Why is there still a remaining percentage? Because there are indeed several problems that can only be resolved or are currently still in the process of being resolved, or TL, or still have to be resolved in the next budget year, so fiscal year. So the reporters can get it again to So you can track the report. The complaint will be in the following year. And then regarding the preference, almost 161,000 more choose to report regarding these public services through our application, Jackie. Ladies and gentlemen, for transparency, of course, you can also check about this public complaint on our website at crm.jakarta.go.id. All the data related to the report that has been submitted can be clearly tracked on our website crm.jakarta.go.id. So that's a brief overview of what we have done in Jakarta Smart City, and of course this is a form of how we can utilize it so that society doesn't just convey the complaint, but it is the data that we use to then for the related agencies to become a policy that will be taken in accordance with the data that we already obtained from various complaints submitted by the public. By the community. Next is that all, of course, we hope that the beloved city of Jakarta will be a city for everyone, not only Jakarta residents, but also ladies and gentlemen, foreigners and others. And of course, together we will make Jakarta better, more comfortable, especially to welcome the 5th century of Jakarta. That's a glimpse of Jakarta Smart City. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Wardania, who told us about the implementation of Smart City and how the Jakarta government also facilitate the wider citizen participation. Next, we said earlier, we talk about realizing a smart city is not just the task of one party, not just the central government, local government, or even the community. Now let's hear from the perspective of the developers, private developers, Mr. Ignis, within 8, maximum 10 minutes. Thank you. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps if this seminar title and session topic are heavy, I will try to combine the sustainable housing, buildings and cities with digital technology and smart cities. It seems a bit far, but I'll try like this. So actually, first of all, in order to make sustainable housing, building and city a success on a broad scale, there are 3 major efforts that we have to make. First of all, how do we ensure sustainability between supply and demand? So first, the right policy for the right segments. Yes, Mr. Hamza mentioned 3 million, so we have to sort out which segment it is, then what is the policy. Say, for example, the 2 million will be given a mortgage subsidy from the APBN, okay, the country's budget. They immediately make the PP or the purpose, the government regulation, yes, and also related regulation must be sorted out. So like the regional community law and housing law are not yet synchronized. So there are many homework in the Ministry of Housing. Then one that is usually the steps are where are land and financing. If technology build, I think everyone can do it. But then and financing must be resolved immediately so that there is continuity of supply and demand. Secondly, related to the environment, it always goes to water, energy, and low carbon. As previously stated, several decarbonization efforts were interesting ones, and then how social and governance are also important because unfortunately, the impact has an impact on the first one. If the community continues to rebel, it won't work out. How can the community become part of our project? We will succeed together with the community. Yes, and this becomes one, the new trend of business that investor's choice, it will refer to ISG as a vessel be chosen by the investors. So there's a triple goals, demand, supply, social governance, and also environment. Like all of them can be expected to achieve the SDG goals. Then regarding the global warming and and regarding digital technology earlier, how can this aspect help? Then how is the schedule and how is the first stage? Because now everyone is digital, doing digital. In the past there was water, electricity. Now the main need is the internet. So if there is no internet at home, people will be lacking. It's better not a bit it's better a bit hungry, but we have internet. That's more or less the culture right now. So digitalization has become things that you experience right now by everyone. So we have three main steps to move towards a digital and smart city. Yes, we are in the first stage. It's a bit costly, and outside the property sector in general, there aren't many developers like this, but we have a vision for the future that this will be something that will be very important in digitalization. So the first thing we created was a common center, community apps, yes, with One Smile, and then automatic traffic control system, then and so on. We prepare as a foundation in the first stage. And then in the second stage, we see that smart common center will be perfected. ATS will also be perfected. We will come in tracking. So our bus will be tracked. We also track the buses, what time it arrives, and the person can be. So the smart building, environment system monitoring, illegal parking litigation, land banking, autonomous driving, and EV charging. In the second phase, we are entering something that will become a more sophisticated platform, and all three of this will run into the concepts of digital marketing, smart energy, smart mobility, and other data. Well, it's the same as the principles. The principle that we just saw from our property is that there is efficiency in life, then there is interrogation of easier interactions and customer satisfaction. So we first look at it from the aspect that are in accordance with the property business in general. Well, the basic requirement is that there must be a reliable fiber optic integrated common center, One Smile, the apps, as I earlier said, automatic traffic control system, a public Wi-Fi, global public cloud network, and smart. We collaborate with many institutions, like with Korea, with Japan, South Korea, Japan, NTT, USA, Cisco, Microsoft, and there are many things we collaborate with because we cannot possibly do it alone. But all of this must be in an ecosystem of a smart city. That will be our goal. Then, for example, in the first implementation, it concerns the common center. So there is control over traffic, flooding, then smart security, building system, and also media. So like on the right, this traffic is no longer 3 minutes, but it depends on the length of the queue. If there are only 2 cars, it might only be 3 minutes, but if there are 20 cars, maybe the green light lasts 20 minutes, 10 minutes or so. So it is regulated by the system so that it no longer uses minutes for intersection, but more efficient. The ones with long queues get longer time. We arrange them like that, yes, in traffic in our place. Then this app becomes something that will be useful because it will touch all the ecosystem that exists in finance. We start from retail infrastructure, then the business convention, like the train time, bus time. Then when we go to school, which school has people move. If someone wants to move school, then he will go to school that has still has a free empty seat. So the ease of people to carry out activities in urban areas will be assisted by the apps that we manage in accordance with the consumer needs. Because our basic, if the care services serve the community, if we serve our consumers in terms of property, because it is very different, because the investment that we have to invest is quite large, and we are actually different from the government budget, especially ICAIN. The budget is extraordinary, as if we have to calculate that what we invest can eventually be returned through property sales or credit or layers to banks. So the financing bases are a bit different, so we do it step by step and rationally according to our development stages. Now a little bit about BAC, about the city. So we have 6,000 hectares. We have 3 stages. What we are developing now is the second stage. Yes, we are connected to the entire toll network and a little bit of other things. So we are developing housing. We are building simple houses at the beginning. Yes, they are Tanjung Expert. There are still those. We start from simple houses, increase to middle class houses, and cooperation with several investors from outside. That is also an example. Then development of green offices. So we have 14 green office park buildings that are already completed, then formal schools, non-formal schools, and academy levels, then recreation, then convention. Then there is also market, so we carry out the market and development of SMEs in line with urban development. So we see all levels from the lower, middle, and upper classes for sustainable urban development. Transportation is very important. There are toll roads, there are trains. Coincidentally, we are passed by train, so we actually have 5 stations, 2 of which we are developing as stations integrated intermodal, like that. Well, this toll road is the main network that connects, so the BSD is open to all access. So then inside it, we create a network that mostly uses public transport. Yeah. Some already use electric cars, so people can stop at places which are all served by public transport, encouraging the use of public transport more than private cars. Well, this is one of the this is an example of a TOD. So this is a station that where people can walk. Then there is a modern market, so people can park, and then between cities, then go home shopping, then go home, like that. So this is one example that we are trying. And next to this, we will build an apartment which is still under construction. Well, then we are also indeed assisted by many companies that operate in the internet sector, because internet is the 5th basic need, like food, shelter, and clothes. This is the 5th necessities. So then we go to the holistic brand community. So to live, to work, to learn, to study, to play, it's one integrated urban unit. Well, this digital hub is a complex where we prepare home for technology corporations and startups to prepare for a large digitalization covering an area of 25 hectares. We develop hectares for data center, digital startup, IT corporation, digital center, digital investor, digital community, and tech enthusiasts. So everything is centered here as a part of digital development for the future. So we develop the ecosystem, and the first one is a building that we call the biomedical building campus, like that, because it is integrated with a large health center. And this is a smart building, a green building, and a pandemic ready building, because this was built after the pandemic. So we have prepared good filters that can later, if there is a pandemic, we can prevent it. Yes, I think because previously we didn't use that. This is the first building that was pandemic. We built after pandemic. Well, this is the ecosystem that we prepared, and everything is heading towards 4 groups. So there is talent development from education, BNews, Monos, Bodika is there. Then they are from corporates that supports Microsoft and others, and IC, NTT, and then we release the startup so that they can become something that is help with financing. And if he is able, he will rent the property that we built. So there's a cycle from startup to this property, because we are a property business. So we run, that is our target. So everything is we are heading there. So we carry out global partnership with foreign corporation, and we already have various partners from abroad, and it's very possible that the most interested are cooperation with foreign investors. Then we also look at the environment and building development to move towards lower carbon. Mrs. Cookie has already mentioned about the decarbonization. We follow all of that. So we have elements, infrastructure that must be prepared. For example, for water, we take it from rivers, not surface water. We take electricity from PLN, and we also use PLN as renewable energy, and that we build in every commercial building. Then we also have an energy saving program in all our buildings. We have 14 certified green buildings, and this produces quite a lot of energy saving and water saving and low carbon waste. We started this year. We started processing TPS3R waste in Jatiwaringin for the whole the BST development of BST can be reviewed later if we will be inaugurated approximately early this year. Later there are 3 groups of buildings that we have done: the neighborhood, environment, and park and other places. And we also do this home because there are already houses that are certified by Greenship. Then they get low interest from one bank. So on top of these certified houses, the bank provides 1% interest in a year. So then if there is an increase, the interest is always below that. So this is financial incentive for houses that are certified green. Maybe we'll launch it in the near future. Yeah, and then our green building does not stop there. We also doing energy. We improve energy efficiency with solar power. Everything under that. Yes, already there's everything. Then green habit for people's habit to be able to live green. Then we do deepening energy efficiency and heading towards. We have 14 buildings from all over Jakarta, which have been implemented, and then the energy is suppressed so that it continues to be low. Then there is green material program and plastic waste program. So the plastic is mixed with asphalt mixture. We mix it with asphalt. Then we also have EV. We have experimented 12 EV. We prepare our EV in collaboration with external parties, and we have already tested it with Mitsubishi, and that type was assisted by Japan for the EV autonomous car, which is currently being tested. At the time it has been tested, now it is being tested again. Then transportation that reduces private cars, and then all buildings have solar panels to support the renewable energy transformation at the G20 yesterday. So we are welcoming the carbon era. When the carbon era is running, we have implemented green building, energy efficiency, reduce private car emissions, that have EV charges and waste management, so that we will be in a low carbon position later on. And of course, greening, and our research on building energy is the largest. Yes, 70% of it comes from building energy, from relationship. Then transportation, we add pedestrians to our transportation, we add EV charges, etc. And the waste is also quite large, so that later we will have good waste management. We already have, starting from 2 years, next year, we will officially have the largest 3R TPS waste processing from all of BSC. It will be processed there. We will run this later, and it will run from the coming year, this year 2025. Well, this is also the use of asphalt mixed with plastic. It's already 8.6 kilometers. So the plastic is from our committee. We exchange plastic to food. It's called 1 kilo plastic. We exchange with 1 kilo of rice. So there's a social program. Plastic is collected and then moved with an exit to be made into a mixture of asphalt. Then we have targeted by 2030 our efforts in buildings, transportation, and others. We have reduced 37% of carbon emission. Yes. So with this approach of SDGI, so we have used this in scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. We have calculated the energy buildings, employees' cars, then the downstream third party, and so on. We have calculated that we can have a target that by 2023 we will have reduced by 37%, but to reach 0% in the year 60, that requires quite a lot of effort in the form of electric cars. So we have calculated that, but we have already managed to get to 2023, which is quite close. Yes, then this is the period, and this is actually the patterns, as we want to be the champion in sustainability. We are number 1 in SDG in property, and number 5 in the industry, and modern and secure digital foundation. Then digital by using, what's the name, there are so many things that startup that we have developed. So the startup will be part of the developing businesses that lead to sustainable living, sustainability. So if you see in the conclusion is that the first, to create sustainable buildings, cities, and housing requires 3 efforts, namely the right regulations, and then the right manpower supply, supported by the provision of land and financing from the government. Environment and social and governance. This must be carried out consistently by all parties. Then here, digitalization is indeed a supporting part, because everyone and all activities are now based on digital. Nothing is free from digital. Then the benefit that we are aiming for is efficiency in all activities, both transportations, and then more easy to connect with all ecosystem. Yes, with the apps that we develop. Then we also develop financing support for the startup in order to develop sustainable digitalization. So this becomes the backbone of our activities that can be developed in the long term, sustainedly. So that's all from me. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wahyu. Excuse me, Mr. Ignace. Thank you. Yes, this is very interesting, because from the thoughts of the panelists today, we see the connection and relation from the policy side and national level, and how the local government welcomes it, how experts identify it, and also how the private sector, in this case developers, also implement it in their domain. Considering that the time is limited, the time is up, so we have to skip the question and answer session. But let me just give one point from these four speakers. We see that there is a very big positive hope here. The central government has a national framework, and then there is the regional government, namely the DKI regional government here in this country, which wants to implement it. There is an expert that wants to help identify it and build its implementation. There is a private sector that also cares about the problem. The problem is the scale. We want this scale to not only be made by DKI, it's not just BSD that's making it. We want all cities in Indonesia to adopt these principles. So maybe we still have homework together. The policy gap, the incentive, then the integration, and embrace it on a wider scale nationally. I think that's all. This is our task. The central government, regional expert, private sector, and also maybe collaboration with foreign parties, for example, the government of Japan, or Japan side, and scientists from various institutions. Okay, once again, maybe let's give applause. Give a big applause to our speakers this time. Thank you. I learned a lot, and I'm sure all the audiences also get a lot of insight, enlightenment, and insight. Once again, thank you all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry if there is anything that is not pleasing, and I hope we can continue this collaboration. Okay, good afternoon, everyone.